Okay, in this video I'm going to talk about how much to charge as a coach. Now, this is a big question because, you want to value your time the best that you can. And you want to produce results at the same time. Now, I start by asking myself this one question when it comes to really deciding what I should charge. And a lot of people ask me this because it's so, you're selling something that's intangible. It's not like you're buying a McDonald's cheeseburger and it's like, oh, okay, well, the beef is worth this amount, the bun is worth this amount, the lettuce is worth this amount. It's not like that. It's an intangible thing that they're buying. So it's very much subjective. So how do you define this? Well, I ask myself, and you should ask this for what you sell, is what do you believe the value of your solution is worth? And what do you feel certain about charging? Because the value of your solution really gives you a good understanding of how much you should charge. Like, what is the cost of the problem, right? And what is the value of the solution? If the cost of the problem is, let's just say somebody was smoking, right? And they're spending, let's just say they were spending like $1,000 a month on cigarettes, like $250 a week, right? So what is the cost of that problem? Well, $1,000 a month, times that by 12, that's $120,000. That's how much it's costing them financially. And then what about their health? Well, can you even put a price on that? What about the cost emotionally? Like maybe they feel guilt, they feel shame, they feel down about doing this habit, right? Sometimes the cost of the problem is not just financial, or sometimes it's not financial, it's just emotional, right? But what value do you put on being able to feel joy in your life, being able to feel happiness, being able to feel love, being able to feel excited, passionate, like grateful? Like, what value do you put on feeling these emotions in your life? I don't know about you, but I wouldn't ask for $1 back from what I spend, and I spend $1 million on growing and learning and transforming myself. So I really believe that you've got to ask yourself, what is the cost of the problem? And your solution always wants to be, cheaper than that, or in terms of, if the cost is $100,000, then I'm not going to charge you $100,000 probably to quit smoking. I'm probably going to charge you less than that, right? So I'm going to charge you less than the cost of the problem, but I from that means that the solution is truly valuable, right? And I've got to feel certain about it as well. So somebody wrote in my Facebook group where there's got all these coaches in there, and they said, Luke, it's my first time, I want to help someone to quit smoking. They asked me, how much do I charge? What should I charge for quit smoking? And I said, well, what is the cost of the problem? How much are they spending and all the rest of it? And then they said, and they said, I'm thinking of charging $350. And then someone else said, well, I've charged $500. And then someone else said, well, I know someone who paid $1,000. And I was like, wasn't it interesting that it's like got such variation, and let's just say they're all spending the same amount on cigarettes. So, I believe, whatever it is, it's got to be cheaper than the cost of the problem, which means there's far greater value in the solution, right? And you feel certain about it. So when I first started out, I actually charged $150 an hour, right? And I remember I didn't communicate my value very well enough. I didn't communicate clearly enough, because when I worked with the couple, right, they actually sat down and we did 5 hours together, and they said, oh, okay, 150 was it? I said, yeah, 150 an hour. It's 750 total. Like, oh no, we thought it was 150 for 5 hours. And I'm like, shit, all right. So I gave them 5 hours for 150. I didn't value myself very much then, right? So I wasn't very certain in myself then. But I really believe that you've got to value your time enough and you feel certain about it, right? There's no point going around saying to people, oh, it's $10,000 to work with me, and you don't believe you're worth that, and no one's going to pay. You're just going to end up broke. So start with what you feel certain about. That is also still cheaper than the cost of the problem, right? And that's a good place to start. Now also you should ask yourself, how much have you invested in yourself? If you've just done a $200 Udemy course on how to coach people and you want to go charge thousands of dollars, it's very hard to do that, right? I feel congruent about charging what we charge because I've invested that in myself, right? I've invested, you know, 30,000, no, actually more than that. One time it was, I paid $85,000 US for a year. It's like $120,000 Australian for a program, right? And so if I've spent that on me, then I can feel congruent to charge someone else that because I've spent that on me, right? But if you haven't spent $1 on yourself, it's very hard to feel certain about charging someone else $1. I believe the more you spend on yourself, the more certain you feel about charging other people what you want to charge. That's what I believe. So, you know, you've got that, and you have to be able to get the result. You have to be able to produce the result. That's very, very important. You know, I started out at $150 an hour, then I moved it up to $300 an hour. And I remember when I did this because I didn't believe I was worth that. It was a Christmas time and no one was paying me. No one was like, I'm not paying you $300 an hour. So I jumped too soon. So you got to jump at the right time. And then once I got lots of clients in, then I jumped again. I went back to 300, then went to 500, and now, most recently, someone paid an e-commerce guy. He's very successful. He's got like an 8-figure business. He makes about $1 million a year selling e-commerce stuff. But he paid me $2,000 an hour to help build a mindset course, right? And so, you know, I couldn't charge that if I'd only paid a $200 Udemy course in myself. I had to give the value to him, right? And he was very happy with that. So that's what you should do, is charge what you feel certain about, charge what you feel comfortable about, make sure it's cheaper than the cost of the problem, which means it's way more valuable than the problem. And yeah, most of my coaches, they charge about, for a 6-week program, they charge about $1,500 to $3,000 starting out for a 9 hours, an hour and a half a week, 6-week program, walking out, charging $1,500 to $3,000, which is not too bad. I think that's pretty good. All right, cool. So hopefully that's helped you and served you. You know, tag me in your stories, Instagram, Facebook. Would love to, you know, see what you think. Write in the comments what you got out of this. You know, subscribe. Let's build some momentum and help transform people's lives together. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.